Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today we will try to see about Imam Mahdi. That means the Messiah Jesus Christ. Today we will try to see forward here the glad tidings of HAZRAT Mahdi. He is one from the Quraysh and from Ahl al-Bayt. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, that means he was one of my offspring, or he was one of my descendants, as Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned. So now today we will try to see about him in detail. Here is a glad tidings of Hazrat Mahdi. He is one from the Quraysh and from my Ahl al-Bayt. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the subject of the Mahdi or MOSHIACH of Jews is one that has always occupied an important place in the Islamic world, even since the age of bliss, hoping that Hazrat Mahdi will be instrumental in making the affliction Muslims have been going through. The intellectual systems based on denial, unfair and unjust practice, conflict, war pervading the world to come to an end. Believers have always awaited the coming of the blessed individual in their own time. Sincerity prayed to Allah for it to come about. The hadith of our Prophet speak of Muslims eagerly awaiting the coming of the Prophet Jesus Masih, and Hazrat Mahdi or Mashiach of Jews. Ever since the time of the Ashab al-Kiram, the companion of Prophet, and of their begging Allah to be among the living at that time. We are told that the old will beg Allah to be young in order to live to see the age of the Prophet Jesus Masih and Hazrat Mahdi Mashiach. In the hadith, our Prophet also tells the believers to who will live in that time to find and follow Hazrat Mahdi even by crawling over ice, and advises those who live to see this happy age to strive, that means the golden age, to be worthy of this blessing from Allah. Ibn Abi Saiba Nu'man ibn Hamdan in Al-Kitab al-Fitan, Ibn Majah quoted from Ibn Mas'ud. He said that he, Hazrat Mahdi, owns the earth and fills the earth with justice, which was previously filled with oppression and violence. Whoever of you lives to see him, let him crawl over the snow to him and join him, because he is Hazrat Mahdi, according to, that means quoted from Ibn Mas'ud. In his Hazrat Mahdi time, adult will say, wish I was younger, and the younger ones will say, wish I was grown up. The living for others to see the graces they enjoy will wish the dead were alive. So our old members will not live to see him, while our young people hope for him. Nu'aym ibn Hamad reported from that means Tawak, I wish I would not die until Hazrat Mahdi were to appear. Hazrat Mahdi time will be one of such justice that the dead in the grave will envy the living. This blissful time, for which people have been deeply longing for hundreds of years, will, according to the indication in the hadith, last for more than half a century. And a little time now remains until this historic glad tidings of such great importance to the Islamic world finally come about by Allah leave. The That means the timing given by the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith for the coming of Hazrat Mahdi is now imminent. The century we are living in, or Hijri 1400, is the century of the Mahdi, the millennium. By Allah live the coming of Prophet Jesus and Hazrat Mahdi that people have been keenly awaiting and praying for over the century will by his live take place in this century. Since Muslims living in this century who eagerly, hopefully and enthusiastically await the coming of this historic individual will inshallah be able to enjoy the higher honor of being among the Prophet Jesus and Hazrat Mahdi, helpers, friends and close followers. They will be able to support the Prophet Jesus and Hazrat Mahdi in their intellectual struggle against religious movements in spreading the most value of Islam across the world, in uniting the Islamic world, in causing the Christian world to follow the Quran, united the Christians and Muslims and the Jewish, and the true faith being among the supporters of this holy individual. They will have the honor of being among those instrumental in the Muslim world, attaining the peace, happiness, and plenty and abundance for which it has longed for the last 40 centuries. The hadith of our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, books written by great Sunni scholars, and all the statements by worthy scholars who were Mujaddid, reviver, server, and Mujahid scholars who drive legal ruling of their own times, all point to the present century. Almost all the events known as the portent of the end times have come about one after the other, like the beads on the necklace. The development taking place in the world on an almost daily basis shows that we are living in the end times, and that the Prophet Jesus and Hazrat Mahdi will appear in this age. The age that they will be instrumental in is being most holy one is approaching. Everyone, whether or not they take a great interest in the reality, is by now well aware of it. The subject of Hazrat Mahdi is being discussed on domestic, foreign, television, radio stations, internet, and social media, YouTube, Facebook, on chat programs, in newspaper and magazines, at conferences, and on websites. There is no doubt that this is an important sign revealed in Hadith and foretelling the coming of Hazrat Mahdi. Hazrat Mahdi will appear, everyone will speak only of him, drink of his love, and speak of nothing else. One of the aim in the preparation of this, that means talk, is to enable both Muslims and Christians, that means exactly awaiting the Prophet Jesus, those who are awaiting Jesus, Christians, and Hazrat Mahdi, those who Hazrat Mahdi MOSHIACH, those who are awaiting Jewish people, and everyone interested in the subject of to obtain the most accurate information and access most trustworthy sources. It is for them to be able to learn important facts regarding these holy individuals from valuable hadiths that have been scrupulously transmitted from the Prophet and down the century to the present day. In this way, Muslims, the Islamic world, and everyone on earth will be able to follow this significance events of such a great importance of human happiness, and to ready themselves for these historic events both better and faster. People have not had the honor of seeing a prophet for the last 14th century. They have been unable to meet and see such a holy person and to witness his deep faith, fear of Allah, and superior moral virtue. By Allah live, this time is now the age when people will be honored by a prophet. After 14th century, for 1400 years, Allah will send the Prophet Jesus. back to earth to support Hazrat Mahdi in his struggle against denial. On this second coming, the Prophet Jesus will adhere to the Quran and will be instrumental in the whole Christian world. Also obeying the Quran, the Prophet Jesus will follow Hazrat Mahdi and they will establish the global dominion, that means, of Islamic or moral value under Hazrat Mahdi, and the Jewish and all Muslims, that means, of the world will be what united. That means under Hazrat Mahdi spiritual leadership. This is a great blessing from Allah for people living in the century. In current century, the Mahdi of the end time, awaited for hundreds of years, will only come once, and the people in this century will have the honor of seeing this great person. Our Prophet ﷺ revealed in the Hadith that Hazrat Mahdi will be the most virtuous person. That means the most virtuous person, righteous person of his age. We are told that his good manner and conduct will resemble those of our prophets. It is a great blessing from Allah for a believer to live in the same age as such a virtuous and holy figure. A Muslim must strive to find someone described as the most virtuous person in the world of his own day. Allah sending two such superior figures chosen by and beloved of him at the same time is a great blessing. The information in that means we are telling you will by Allah be instrumental in Muslims having better understanding of this great mercy and this glad tidings from Allah, and for all Christians and Jewish getting ready in much better way for the dominance of the moral value of Islam after so many centuries. That is the introduction of about Imam Mahdi and the coming of Jesus. In our first part, in next time, we will tell you, inshallah, the timing or the timing of the coming of the Prophet Jesus, Masih, and Hazrat Mahdi, MOSHIACH of Jewish. So await that. Well, goodbye until we meet next time.